Common Council meeting Tuesday, December 7th. Let's rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councillor Olson.
Here.
Councillor Bridge.
Here.
Councillor Bender.
Here.
Councillor Mertzik.
Here.
Councillor McDonald. Councillor Henry is excused. Councillor Finsland. Councillor Herrick.
Here.
Councillor McKenzie.
Here.
Councillor Dahlbeck. And Councillor Nowicki.
Okay, we'll entertain the approval of the minutes. Motion by Councillor Dahlbeck and Councillor Bender is the second. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Minutes are approved.
Item 5 is a public hearing to approve the 2011 Community Development Block Grant Action Plan.
This public hearing is now open. Anyone who would like to speak for or against item 5.1 under public hearings can do so now. For a second time, anyone who would like to speak for or against item 5.1 can do so now. And for a third and final time, anyone who would like to speak for or against item 5.1 on the agenda can do so now. Seeing no one wants to, this public hearing is now closed.
Item 5.1 is a resolution to approve the 2011 Community Development Block Grant Action Plan.
We need a motion. Motion by Mr. Bridge, second by Councillor Dahlbeck. Any discussion? Mr. Herrick first, and then Mr. Olson.
Yeah, Jeff, just something I noticed on number 8. I don't know if you have your agenda or your application there with you. Number 8, as far as it was under the
I think Mr. Cirque is probably who you'd be addressing. I believe.
Okay, is it? No, that's
Sure,
just,
yeah.
oh, I seen you signed it, so that's why I brought it up to you.
Gotcha,
That's
sure.
fine. Either one of you two would be great. Okay, it is under the, give me one second here. Thought I had marked it. It is the, street improvements on Banks Avenue Phase 2. Okay, just under that particular one, you have listed under number 8 the total cost as being $477,519. But under 19 of that application, you budgeted for $479,919 with a difference of $2,400. So I don't know if any one of those two figures are a mistake or in what area there. So
sorry, it didn't get changed in the application. It is correct on the action plan portion that is in that is the budget that is on there. In the colored portion that's in the front of the document. Yeah, I apologize for that. We had done some different estimates and things, and that one part just didn't get changed, so noted. Thank you.
okay, all right, sure, thanks.
Good. Mr. Olson. Thanks, Mr. Herrick.
I've got a question on the same issue. This year on Banks Avenue, Phase 1, we had quite a few problems ranging from engineering to staffing to hours worked, and 20 weeks to do 3 blocks of City Street is a very high amount of time to be putting into those streets. My question is, and Jason, we had talked about this a little bit, and Jeff, I think we did too, but is this, even though it's in the CDBG, is this project going to go out for bid this year?
I think what we were just talking about that actually, and we've been running. I think you're going to talk about this at Public Works next week. We've also run some numbers on that, and I think our idea is that we're going to actually put it out and see where we're at, and more or less kind of if things come in kind of high or whatever, we'll back a couple out, and we may end up doing a combo project where some city crews possibly do a portion of it where it be demo or whatever, and then we hire some folks to come in and do a portion of it and go from there. So I think it's either going to be an all-out or it's going to be a combo project depending on the dollar flow. Councilor Olson.
And my concern with that was this year, the loss of business. There was 3 or 4 businesses right there in that little Bermuda Triangle, if you may, that lost considerable amount of business. And they're all taverns or bowling alley, but they pay taxes like everybody else, and they serve the public. I understand that the smoking ban, it was bad timing. The smoking ban went into effect, and that killed some people's business. But if nothing else, these businesses need to know. We need to have more updates as to what's going on there. I mean, there was.
Yeah.
I'm in the construction business, and you guys all know that. And there was people in the business community that just did not want to come forward because they were afraid of getting harassed if they did. And we shouldn't be in a situation where businesses along that corridor, and it's going to be going into Belknap now, and it'll be a lot more complex this year. So I would personally like to see it go out for open bid. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate your
Council.
comments, Dan. I think you accurately described the sentiments of a 20-week project that was just, I don't know what happened. It just, we need to make sure. Councilor Dahlbeck, you had your light on.
I was just going to say that they did have a route to get to those businesses, one block. It was not inconvenient. They got to the bowling alley, they got to the museum, or to the depot, they got to Saha. I mean, those businesses were there, visible. So it wasn't because of the construction that they lost business. It was because of the economics and the fact that the smoking ban has put a lot of businesses down. So that's the way I looked at it.
Okay. Appreciate your comments. Thank you very much. Mr. McKenzie.
Yeah, I just have, Jason again, and Jeff, I don't know. Administration costs. I'm seeing costs here. I don't know if I'm doing this, if I'm adding this up right, or if I'm adding the right things, but we're looking at about $250,000 of administration costs. Could you talk a little bit about that? Is there any way that we can, have that a lesser figure? Maybe just explain that a little bit.
I wish we could. The number, and Gene can maybe help me out a little bit at some point, but the administration covers everything from salaries, portions of salaries, myself, my staff as well. It also covers kind of our day-to-day operations. And just, looking at, and salaries is the big part. We also have support for other loan programs that we used to have in the past, as well as some of our down payment assistance that we have now. So it is 20% of the budget, and it seems to get, instead of us getting an increase in that every year, it seems to go down. We always end up getting 20% of less. As many of you know, we used to have United Way do some of our administration in the amount of about $10,000, which was part of that for our nonprofit subrecipients. We have now taken that on as well, so that has counted towards that. So we have internalized that. So it is mostly salaries, Councilor McKenzie, but there's also, we have to pay for our IT. We have to pay for our postage and our administration of that and things of that nature, and those things add up, and we have a hard time covering a lot of that stuff. So we're also talking about benefits. So, Gene, I don't know if you wanted to chime in a little bit on some of those other costs.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Actually, I think overall the administrative costs have gone down. They always remain at, there's a cap of 20% of the grant, and because the grant over the years has gone from probably, 1.1 million. It's gone down every single year into the 800,000 range. And so that 20% just, it's capped at that, and it does get smaller. And I know there have been certainly staffing reductions in the CDBG area that have been happening over the last few years. So I know it's a struggle to make it to meet that 20%, but we absolutely look at that every year.
Yeah, definitely. And Councilor McKenzie, Gene touched on this. I think there used to be about 4 or 5 staff that was on that. Now there's 2. So we're kind of inching our way down, and of course doing more with less, like everybody else is doing. So that's kind of the explanation.
Yeah, well, thanks. Good explanation. I don't have any follow-up questions. Thanks.
Seeing no more questions, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. This item passes.
Item 6 is the consent agenda.
Let's see, who do I miss? Mr. Finsland and Mr. Bridge. And any items you'd like taken out? Mr. Olson?
6.7.
6.7, okay.
3.
6.7 and 3?
No, well, number 3 of this 6.7 Human Resource Committee.
Oh, gotcha. 6.73. Anything else? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. 6.7, number 3.
6.7, number 3 is the Human Resources Committee, November 15th recommendation to approve the non-union wage increase effective January 1st, 2011.
Okay, we need a motion by Mr. Finsland, seconded by Mr. Bender. Discussion. Mr. Olson.
First of all, this request is to match what the union positions of 2.5 increase as of January 1st, 2011. And I don't doubt that everybody that is up for a raise, y'all deserve it. I have no question with that. My problem with all of this is that in the few years that I've been here, we've gotten to the point where we all figure that this compaction has to work so that we've got labor and management moving forward at the same rate, so that we don't run into a position where people aren't going into management due to the fact that they're getting more money as a labor individual. My problem is 2.5% across the board. It makes absolutely no sense to me to go in with 2.5% across the board when one person in management is getting 2.5% at possibly $40,000, and a person in management is getting 2.5% at $100,000 a year. So the raises that the raises that are being requested, I don't believe are following a compaction as to following what the union representatives are negotiating for their people. 2.5% across the board is everybody that is in labor. They have a position. They are a union AFSCME person. They are in the landfill. There's some here, however it is, a police officer, your working foremans, stuff like that. With the union, the 2.5 is negotiated for the union, and we have 4 unions within the city? 5? So those people all have classifications within their title as a worker for the city of Superior. It's no different than what my building and general laborers have. I negotiate contracts for the people for the classifications. When we get into management, I think it's unfair to go across the board at 2.5% when one person is doing just as good a job. They may not have as many responsibilities, but they're working their tail off, and I believe every one of you are. But to go across the board and allow somebody at 2.5% at $100,000 and give the same 2.5 at $40,000 is not negotiating across the board. I will not support this.
I have 2 signed up to speak to this issue, and we'll call to the podium Mr. Kevin Peterson. Yeah, right here. Right here.
Thank you. Before I speak, I want to remind everybody today's Pearl Harbor Day and everything that means. There are times when a salary increase is appropriate, and I suggest that this is not that time. And this is for non-union employees, as was discussed basically for the administration. The Consumer Price Index has been flat for the last 2.5 years. There's been absolutely no inflation, according to government statistics. From June of 2008 until October, the most recent numbers, in October of 2010, the index has been the same or less. Federal employees, as we've all recently read, will soon take a pay freeze. And most people on fixed incomes, be it a private retirement or Social Security, experienced no increase in 2010, and Social Security, I looked up today, maybe it's old news, but they will get no increase in 2011. It's argued that the most union contracts went up 2.5%. Most of those contracts were negotiated 2 to 3 years ago when inflation was about 2.5%. Some say that you can't give the unions an increase if we don't give the non-union the increase. This is not true, or you wouldn't have to vote on it tonight. How many of you discussed this with your constituents, your people you knocked on the doors and got the votes for. I hope that some of you have done the same on this. How many people are here tonight to speak in favor of this that don't have a self-interest in it? I don't know. We'll find out shortly. Talk about salary creep or whatever term Dan used. What about the increasing distance between those that pay, that are fixed, and now you're creeping, government employees are creeping away from the fixed incomes that a great number of our community live on. The argument for a pay increase in these tough times is not based on need. It's not based on performance, such as we can do more with less employees. But with all due respect, it's based on greed. They got more, so I want more. I really don't think you should base your decision on that. And as I said when I started, there are times when a salary increase is appropriate, and I don't think this is that time. Thank you.
Call to the podium, Mr. Marty Curtis.
Marty Curtis, 5301 East First Street. Kind of like Kevin, I look at it and you look out at the citizens who are actually paying these tax dollars for these raises. And I know in the construction industry, I saw something in your council packet, I believe it was a month or two ago, and they said permits were down $70,000. Well, in the construction industry, it's $10 a thousand. So that means there's a lot of people out there in the construction industry that are working less hours or whatever, and I just don't believe the citizens can afford this. I'd actually like to see you perhaps look into seeing if we can have a wage freeze for the city for a couple of years until the economy improves. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. Anyone else who would like to discuss this? Mr. Bridge.
Well, it's hard to disagree with, not raising wages in the times that we're in, but I'm having a hard time making the connection between, giving one entity a raise and not doing it for everybody. I mean, it'd be nice if we could do just like the federal government has done and hold everything in place until the economy improves a little bit. But I can't myself give one chunk of the city employees a raise and then say no to the rest of them. I don't, I've been here long enough to see the compaction and see quite a number of police officers go back into patrol duties from management positions and a number of other places too. And, I don't like the way it works, but, I don't want to see us losing managers either, so.
Thank you. Seeing all, Mr. McKenzie.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much discussion that there was for this in committee. I wasn't able to attend that meeting. I understand what Dan Olson is saying. That it seems to make sense. Again, I'm not so sure how much discussion there was. I don't know how many groups were able to address this at the committee or any place else for that matter. I guess I'd like to make a motion to have this go back to the HR committee for further discussion. Whoever else might, the unions might want to be there and discuss it a little bit further and see if any of that makes sense. Maybe it doesn't, but I'd like to make that motion.
We have a motion and a second to refer back the non-union wage for item 6.73. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. Okay, no. We have. It will be referred back.
Okay, we're on item number 7, business by department heads. 7.1, Finance Director Vito is submitting the 2011 health insurance operating budget.
Motion by Councilor Dahlbeck, second by Councilor Bender. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. 7.1 passes.
Finance Director Vito is submitting the 2011 Economic Development Fund budget.
We need a motion. Motion by Councilor Dahlbeck. Second by Councilor Finzland. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. 7.2 passes.
Assistant Finance Director Zakowski is submitting the 2011 golf course budget.
Motion by Councilor McKenzie, second by Councilor Bender. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed say no. 7.3 passes.
Item 9 is business by councilors. 9.1, Councilor Bender, on behalf of Scott Johnson and the Northwoods Music Festival, is requesting to reserve Barker's Island for Festival in 2011 and 2012.
Motion, second. Okay, Mr. Herrick, seeing no discussion, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Set 9.1 passes.
9.2 is Councilor Mertzick is submitting an ordinance proposal that would limit toy giveaways in fast food children's meals that have excessive calories, sodium, and fat. You also have... Motion to approve. Second. Thanks.
You can't, we're not taking motion right now, Mr. Mertzick. Wait till the issue is read. Yes.
There are also two additional communications at your desk tonight, one in support of the proposal from Center for Science in the Public Interest and one in opposition from the Wisconsin Restaurant Association.
I make a motion to receive and file and have a roll call vote.
Okay, there's a second. No second for Mr. Mertzick's motion, I don't believe. Is there a second?
There was originally.
There is not.
I didn't pass.
No. Okay. Well, we had a motion and a second. You should have been a little faster on the draw, Mr. Bender.
Who had that second?
Mr. Finslin.
Okay.
Motion to receive and file, is that correct?
Yes, with the
Okay.
roll call vote.
A roll call vote.
Mayor, can't we have just some discussion on that discussion first?
Certainly can. This is to whether to receive and file or not.
Right, but after the first and a second, there's usually discussion. So
You have the floor.
I don't have anything, but I think someone else does.
You have the floor, okay. And then we do have some signed up, which we'll call out. Mr. Olson.
I will be abstaining from voting on this issue.
Okay, Mr. Mertzick.
I want to take a little bit of time here to explain what my intentions were with my decision-making process with my proposal. This ordinance is intended to limit toy giveaways in fast food meals that are unhealthy, specifically targeting children. I want to make it very clear that this is not an attack on business. Over the course of the last few days, I've spent a considerable amount of time visiting local businesses and restaurants here in Superior. In fact, the vast majority of the people that I spoke to were in support of this proposal. Examples of this are the Perkins restaurant on East 2nd Street. Both the owner and the management of the Perkins restaurant is in support of this proposal. I have a local diner in my district, the East End Cafe. They felt so strongly about this proposal that they wrote a letter on behalf of the proposal. I'm going to take a minute to read it. This letter was authored by not only the owner, but the management along with the staff. And it reads, excuse me, to whom it may concern, we feel that the idea of getting less people to go to fast food places and sitting down at sitting down at one of our many tables would be great. Yes, every kid wants a toy, but we agree that what they are eating could be much better. And again, this is signed by not only the owners, but the management at this restaurant. And so, additionally, like I had mentioned, many of my constituents voiced their support on this. This is not intended to dictate to parents what they can and cannot feed their children. This is also not intended to dictate to restaurants what they can and cannot put on their menus or serve to their customers. I'm going to reiterate that the intention here is to limit toy giveaways and fast food meals that are very unhealthy, targeted at children. I'm going to go a little bit into my reasoning now behind the ordinance. Routinely, we're reminded by healthcare professionals that obesity contributes to heart disease, diabetes, the list goes on and on. Every day, you can turn on the TV and see American Heart Association telling us that fast food, junk food is contributing to these things, and it's killing Americans. Last year, well, this is a recent statistic by the CDC, reported last year over 400,000 Americans died from heart disease. Over 400,000 Americans died from heart disease. According to the Douglas County Department of Health and Human Services, 66% of Douglas County is overweight. And I'm going to be redundant here. 66% of Douglas County is overweight. 24% of Douglas County is obese. These are scary statistics. Wisconsin youth, 30% of Wisconsin youth is overweight. So Douglas County is really leading the way for this epidemic, this overweight obesity problem that we have. Additionally, as many people know, fitness and eating healthy is a passion of mine. I'm a big fan of staying active and eating healthy, and I've belonged to a gym most of my adult life. Being in the Army Reserve has given me a real foundation for my fitness. In fact, back to my gym membership, a fitness trainer at the gym I attend, he heard about this proposal and he pulled me aside and he said, I think this is a really great idea, and I think more needs to be done to confront this problem, but I think this is a really good first step. And he also submitted some literature that I will include on the record with what I'm saying here. Beyond that, dialogue with my constituents. Over the course of the last couple of weeks, one story in particular, I was at a local drinking establishment next to my home, and some older gentlemen were in the bar, and they were discussing, I happened to come in halfway through their conversation. They were discussing how today's youth are out of shape and overweight, and they were having a dialogue of the possible reasons for this. And ultimately, one of the gentlemen said, it's because of junk food and fast food, and it's because of the fast food culture that we live in. And at that point, I injected myself in the conversation because I was excited to hear that, and I agreed with them, and we had a long discussion. In addition to that, I've interviewed some young kids in our community, and 3 of them, grade school, 4th grade kids, wanted to write a letter. And this letter, I'm just going to read one of them, was addressed to the mayor, and I will submit this with the rest of my material here. Dear Mr. Mayor, my name is Mercedes, and I am in the 4th grade. I think McDonald's should have a toy with food that is healthy for kids. I hope you will take the time to listen to Greg Mertzig. Thank you for your time. And there's 2 other letters with this. Beyond that, I was having dinner with one of my best friends. This was on Saturday because he wanted to talk to me about this proposal. He was concerned, frankly, because my friend our political ideologies are a bit different. He's a traditional, he's very much conservative, and he wanted to know firsthand from me what my approach and reasoning was. So we had a great discussion, and ultimately we decided we would have to agree to disagree. Although his son, little 4-year-old son, his wife is pregnant, he looked over at his son and said, do you like McDonald's? And his son kind of looked at him like he was crazy. Of course, Dad, I love McDonald's. And I smiled, and then Scott said, well, why do you like McDonald's? And the kid didn't miss a beat, and it wasn't scripted. He said, well, I like McDonald's because I get a toy. And I smiled at Scott, and he nodded his head. He said, yeah, you have a very valid point here. I have a couple other reasoning things that I want to touch on. The marketing tactics that are being used, and in interviews over the course of the last few days, I have equated these tactics to the candy cigarettes that the tobacco industry used to get young kids to think it was cool and appropriate to smoke at a very young age. it's my opinion that to a lesser extent, the toys put in with these unhealthy meals are the same tactic. They're rewarding our kids, getting them to think it's cool at a very young age to consume foods that not so far down the road are going to literally kill these kids. The fast food industry spends billions of dollars a year on these marketing tactics, and they wouldn't spend the money if it didn't work. Beyond that, and this issue is particularly a passion of mine. As many of you know, that I'm a veteran of both Iraq and Afghanistan, and our national security is something I hold very dear, and I've participated in it. Top generals. In fact, I'm going to read a quote here from a Surgeon General, a former U.S. Surgeon General. What this gentleman said is, the U.S. has reached a tipping point at which obesity now impacts every aspect of our society, including the future of our health system, as well as national and global security. Statistics also indicate that obesity is a major cause for discharge from the armed forces. And for me, this is particularly a scary thought, that our future soldiers, our young adults, are too out of shape to fight. And believe me, I know from experience, spending a lot of time in Iraq and even more time in Afghanistan, at 6,000 to 10,000 feet in elevation, you need to be in tip-top shape to fight the wars that our country sends us to. I have recruiter friends that routinely tell me they are having a hard time recruiting young adults because they don't meet the physical requirements. And this is a scary prospect. I spent some time today talking to various recruiters, the Marine Corps, the Navy, Air Force, and Army. And although they can't go on the record speaking for or against policy, but what they could tell me is that this, in fact, is a problem. And they see it every day, and something needs to happen. All of these factors and reasons are what motivated me to consider possible remedies to the situation. Now, I realize that to fully fix this problem or attempt to confront it, there needs to be a comprehensive approach. But I do believe that this ordinance would address some major factors that contribute to this. Beyond that, I would like to touch on some of the concerns that I've heard from my constituents. One of the concerns was a gentleman said, "Don't you think that there's more pressing issues here in Superior that you should be focused on and be dealing with?" And he listed off examples: stormwater, debt reduction, etc. And this is how I will respond to that. I agree that there's many issues that we need to deal with here in Superior. I guess to put how I put this gentleman at ease is I explained to him that all my colleagues here, including myself, we can multitask. There's no reason why we can't confront more than one issue at a time. Having said that, I think it's understanding the statistics and reading the studies. This proposal is very much appropriate and is included in that laundry list of problems that we have to deal with here in Superior. And then I'd just like to talk real quick of another issue. One of my constituents said that oh, you're just a liberal or a Nancy Pelosi, and I had to kind of smile a little bit. And he said, well, the First Lady is taking this up as her agenda. And this is how I would respond to that. This isn't a partisan issue. This is not a matter of Republican, Democrat. This is a health issue. This is a public safety issue. This is what makes a community strong. The health of us is, and the safety of us through our health is, in my assessment, a major importance. And then I would like to touch on, too, again, one more time, the idea that this is a national security issue. And that goes beyond politics right there. So where to go from here? I believe that this is an appropriate step to take. And I also believe that the ordinance clearly hasn't been drafted in its entirety yet. So there needs to be a process involved. And I believe it would be appropriate to move this to a committee that could sort out the concerns of the public, the concerns of the business owners, and the other various concerns that are brought to our attention over the course of time. That's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Number of people signed up to speak to this issue, so I'll call them one by one. Ann, Stephen, or Stefan, I'm not sure.
And ma'am, as you work your way to the podium, I'll remind the speakers that we limit commentary to 3 minutes. I'll try to wave my arm or something at you when we're at that mark.
I don't give a lot of speeches at all.
And turn your mic on, or no one can hear you. And then please state your name, address, and city where you live.
Yes. Is this good? Okay. My name is Ann Stephen. I am a pediatrician, and I live in Duluth on the other side of the bridge. I have many patients from 4130 Colorado Street.
Just your name, address, and city, please. That's
Okay.
Thank you.
Ann Stephen and 4130 Colorado Street in Duluth. May I proceed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I work as a pediatrician. I take care of children from the time they're born to the time they get out of high school. I've been a pediatrician, a physician who takes care of children for 22 years. I'm board certified by the American Academy of Pediatrics, and the chairman of my department, I work with approximately 13 other pediatric providers. And I just wanted to thank you so much for even listening to me. I've never done anything like this in my life. I've never been to a political campaign or spoken out at a city council meeting, so I don't really know how to do this. But when I saw or heard about this, actually a friend of mine had read the article in the paper about this ordinance being proposed, I got really excited, as I didn't know that anybody could even do this. I didn't know that a government could even suggest, let alone have an ordinance that food that was high calorie density, that was bad for kids, that was marketed specifically to little kids like toddlers and preschoolers, that our government could do anything about that. My first experience with this was as a mom about 20 years ago, and I failed. I mean, I bought my kids lots of food because of the toys. I had so many toys that I have a bag of them in my basement that we didn't even open because it was the second and third of the same toy that we already had. And my kids pestered me and nagged me, and I worked all day and my husband worked all day, and I was so sleep deprived that it was like, fine, we'll get this, we'll do this, and I'm part of that society of working parents, and in my case, not single, but a lot of single parents who don't have the same kind of time in life that we did when we were younger to have the time to spend working on meals. I was so angry that those toys were in that food because I knew it was driving my kids to nag me to get that food. And when I saw this, I thought, wow, gosh, wouldn't it be great if a toy could be with food that was like had a multi-grain in it or a fruit in it or a vegetable in it. So now to get to my passion in my work. And by the way, there was one thing here that we talked about, national security and safety and health, but cost. This is so expensive. I already have kids in my practice, not one kid, a kid every day I see who's on antacid medications for that gastroesophageal reflux disease. A third of my practice is overweight. I have morbidly obese kids I've been following for years, and I am so saddened by that because I talk to the families and I talk to the kids and it's not enough. Parents are responsible, but it's a societal problem, and a societal problem requires some society help. My last patient I saw today was a mom from Superior with a 4-year-old, and I mentioned this because I don't live in Superior. Yes. She said, this would be fantastic. Thank you.
This person is Jamie Horvey. And please give your name, address, and city in which you live.
There you go. Jamie Harvey, Duluth, Minnesota. Thank you.
We need your address, please.
Sorry.
Yeah.
5131 Colorado Street. I think the next speaker might have the routine down. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Jamie Harvey, and I'm the Executive Director of the Institute for a Sustainable Future, a Twin Ports-based public health organization. For the past 6 years, I've coordinated the Healthy Food and Healthcare Initiative, a nationwide collaboration of healthcare providers, hospitals, and health systems. This work has included partnerships with organizations such as the American Medical Association, Cleveland Clinic, and the American Nurses Association. In my work with hospitals and cities around the country, there is no question that the obesity crisis is foremost in everyone's mind. By the end of the decade, diabetes and prediabetes will account for an estimated 10% of total healthcare spending at an annual cost of almost $500 billion. This crisis is literally bankrupting our healthcare system and destroying the health of individuals and communities like Superior. This is why healthcare, public health, and city leaders across this nation are uniting around a comprehensive set of strategies which not only promote healthy eating and active living, but also those that shape our environment so that is health promoting. Clearly, the default message to our kids today is unhealthy food choices. In 2006, fast food restaurants alone spent $520 million on toys and sold 1.2 billion meals with toys to children. These expenditures are no mistake. Toys sell. And any parent with young children knows the nag factor caused by toys. The restaurant industry knows it too. And yet a 2008 study found that 93%, I'll say that again, 93% of restaurant meals served with a toy failed to meet national nutrition standards. 93%. That is why, when I read the news about the proposed ordinance last Friday, I was so excited. Even though 3/4 of American voters say preventing childhood obesity is an important priority for government to focus on, Wisconsin is ranked 50th out of 50 states in public health funding. Yet here in the Twin Ports, someone was ready to shine a light on Superior and bring nationwide positive attention to this community. City leaders were willing to be a model for communities and families in the Midwest. By Friday afternoon, my office was getting calls across the country, from Boston, from Chicago. The public health community across the country is looking at Superior. And make no mistake, the McDonald's representatives that flew into town yesterday are going to have their work cut out for them, as the ordinance that was passed first in Santa Clara County, then in San Francisco, and now introduced in Superior will be springing up in communities around the country. So really, the question is whether Superior will be a national leader in what the Center for Disease Control calls a major public health threat, and potentially receive funding and support for other public health initiatives that it wouldn't otherwise receive. Or will Superior cede its leadership to other cities and towns geared up to follow the lead of Santa Clara and San Francisco? One sentence. Clearly, the requirement that toy giveaways reward healthy eating will not alone solve the obesity crisis, but it is one important means to pull our kids off an unhealthy path. I hope you support this ordinance and level the playing field for health. Thank you.
Next speaker is Nancy Beery.
Thank you. My name is Nancy Monahan Beery. I live at 1414 Vermilion Road in Duluth, Minnesota. I'm a pediatrician practicing in the Twin Ports area. I grew up in South Superior. I graduated from Superior Senior High School and moved away, and I wanted to come back to practice pediatrics here in the Northland. I've never done this before. My voice is shaking. All right. One of the things that I've noticed in my practice that I work with wonderful pediatricians, and I'm very thankful that I have a great leader such as Dr. Ann Stephen, who you heard from earlier today. I noticed after about 5 years here that I had an increase incidence of obese children in my practice. I did the statistics for our entire pediatric population in the Twin Ports area of the patients that come through our clinic, and we are at national standards. A third of our children in our Twin Ports area are at obesity rates that we see nationally. A third of our children are obese. So what can I do about it? I started a pediatric weight management program. I wish I could call it something different. I wish I could call it a wellness program, but it wouldn't get parents and patients to come to the clinic. This is the only clinic north of Minneapolis. I see patients from Upper Peninsula, Michigan, International Falls, and the surrounding area. Is it successful? Depends on what parameters you use. I provide education, nutrition, physical activity, behavior health development. I assess their, what are they doing in their schools? What meals are you eating at home? Do you have family meals? Do you eat out? And that full assessment helps to develop a prescription plan for this family to get started to do something about their overweight child. Incidentally, today I had my clinic, pediatric weight management program. A girl who is 8 years old, weighs 203 pounds. Her mom is distraught. Her mom is looking for answers. Her daughter already has the diagnosis of type 2 diabetes. She's had multiple orthopedic surgeries. She has sleep apnea. She has multiple medical conditions that will need further follow-up. She's 8 years old. My impact and why I'm here, that fast food needs to be looked at. What are we feeding our kids? And if it starts with the toy that needs to be out of there, go for it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next name is Eric, is it Ament? Ament, okay.
Yeah, Eric Ament, 709 North 8th Avenue East, Duluth, Minnesota. I lived in town for about 7 years. I'm a business owner over in Duluth and run an herbal apothecary, deal with herbal medicine. And I came here tonight because the Superior community also affects Duluth community very much so. The Twin Ports is very well integrated. I came in support of Mertzig, and I don't want to take away business right to choose, and that's one of the big factors here. Is like we don't want to take away a business's ability to make decisions and to thrive, but we shouldn't take those rights away from the people who are going to these places as well. And there are low-income families who can't afford to go to, afford the time or the dollar to go to places that have a healthier alternative, or to make a meal at their house. We've talked a lot about the statistics. So, 1 in 3 low-income Wisconsin 2 to 4-year-olds are overweight or obese, and that's by the Wisconsin Pediatric Nutrition Surveillance System. Today, children are likely to be first. I jumped down here. Obesity-related medical expenditures total $1.5 billion in Wisconsin alone. There was a national figure before. That's $1.5 billion just in Wisconsin, and that's by the Wisconsin Department of Health Services. And that is, and then the Center of Disease Control has also monitored that an average adult who is obese spends $1,429 more every year than the average adult who isn't obese. And we're creatures of habit. So we think, how does this affect? Like, we adults make their own decisions, yes, but we're creatures of habit, and it does start with the kids. And you'd like to say that the adults can choose and to feed their kids, appropriate diet and make that decision. Sometimes we don't have the time to make those decisions, and sometimes, where government comes into place, I see as environment, resources, and so with that is health, the internal environment. And so sometimes we need to step in and say, where's our nation going? And so in the next decade, we could potentially be spending, as the trend increases, $6.7 billion in Wisconsin just on obesity, health-related issues. And so we can start to see, we don't want to look at our people as resources necessarily, but it's very important that I'm just glad I was able to come down and show my support for this, whatever that means.
Mike Solon?
Mike Solon, 1030 West 3rd Street, Duluth. Thank you, Mayor Ross, councilors. I support the ordinance introduced by Councilor Mertzig restricting meals that don't meet basic nutritional standards. Evidence shows that investing in nutrition and physical activity programs, especially those that focus on children, can decrease obesity levels. In conclusion, Superior, Wisconsin stands to gain a significant return on investment with healthier children and fewer health care costs.
Thank you, Mike. And then we have an additional person, Adam Bennis. Hope I got your last name right.
Bennis, yeah, thanks.
Oh, good.
Adam Bennis, Superior, 2309 East 4th Street. I didn't come here with the intention of necessarily talking, but this type of ordinance is the type of thing that is not the purpose of the government. This is the type of thing that removes personal freedoms. It eliminates our ability to make our own decisions. You want to start making decisions as big brother to us as individuals. This responsibility lies on parents, and I understand parents can do a better job, and a lot of them should do a better job, but this is not government's purpose to decide how I should live my life. I don't believe I should have to take my grocery list to a group to have it approved for what I can and cannot feed my children. I keep my children healthy, and I believe that you all should realize what the purpose of government is. It is to do for us as a group what we cannot do as individuals, but not to make up our minds for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And that concludes the speakers. And we will take a, wait a minute. We do not allow those expressions in this council meeting because we've all signed a civility. So for or against, we don't allow that because that's civility. So we allow everybody to speak without any intimidation of clapping or what other expression. So thank you, please. Mr. Mertzig?
Thank you, first of all, for coming out in support of this. I know everyone that spoke, with the exception of one, was from Duluth, but as one individual pointed out, what happens here in Superior often impacts Duluth and vice versa. So I appreciate your thoughts, and especially coming from the medical community, because you folks, I'm sure, as you explained, see the effects of obesity and the diseases related to that on a daily basis, and so that really hits home. And that's one of the reasons that the national security angle is so passionate with me, because that's what I've seen in my professional life, and so that really strikes a chord with me. I would like to take just a minute to address the last gentleman that came to the podium with his concerns.
Mr. Mertzig, one of the things to the civility promise that we do not address speakers.
Okay,
that is something which we don't want to give and take going with the audience. So
Sure.
It's something we've all signed and committed to a long time ago as part of our civility
Sure.
process
All
here
right.
at the council meeting.
I will not address that individual then, but I would like to address a concern that I've heard. In this concern, I feel strongly that I need to make some clarifications here. This ordinance in no way dictates to parents what they can and cannot feed their children. I need to be abundantly clear about this, and that if that were the case, that would be against what I feel is right for government. This in no way tells a parent you can or cannot feed your child this type of food. And on the same token, this ordinance in no way restricts what a restaurant or fast food restaurant can serve to their customers or put on their menus. This in no way tells a fast food restaurant that they can't serve certain foods. They can serve anything they want to serve. All that we're proposing here is that the fast food industry cannot reward children for eating these potentially lethal foods. Thank you.
Seeing no more discussion, Mr. Herrick.
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate Councilor Mertzik's concern about, overweight kids, and I do too. But however, what I look at is we need more focus on things like education, more focus on physical education. It's one thing that's been taken out of our schools today, and that makes a big concern. So sometimes I think, we could go where the kids, where they spend most of their lives is in school. And I think physical education has to be brought back. And by doing that, the kids will be able to exercise, and all these health concerns will be limited. And at the same time, I remember when I was growing up, I was taking my kids to McDonald's. And a lot of times, they would get the product and the toy, and they wouldn't eat all their meals. So I didn't feel so bad that they didn't eat all their meal. But at the same time, it's important that the mothers and fathers have a choice for what their children can eat. McDonald's, as an example, because they're the big one, everybody's kind of relates to toys, they do have an alternative. And the parents have that opportunity to pick A or B for their children. And if they introduce them young enough for A and B, B being the better with the apples and the milk and so on and so forth, they're going to have that opportunity to pick that. And if that's the only one their parents will pick for them at a young age, that's the only ones they're going to know. They're not going to know the other. So parents do have the responsibility. And I do respect everybody out there, how they feel. I have a degree in corporate and community health, so I'm aware of diseases and so on and so forth. And what our kids need now is exercise. We need to guide them as parents to make those right choices when they're young, and make sure that carries on as they're older as far as being an example, and show them that there are alternatives. There's kids' sports, there's playgrounds. We got to get them away from the computers. So that's basically that's how I feel about this whole issue. So again, bottom line is I believe the parents have a right to choose. Thanks.
Mr. Bridge.
Well, I don't quite look the part like Mr. Mertzig, but I also am a fitness and health nut. I'm not kidding. I don't mean that facetiously at all. I came here from the YMCA, and I work out 5 or 6 days a week, and I eat quite healthy. But this is a much bigger issue than that, and I share the concern. I'm looking at the CDC's website right now, and Wisconsin, it looks like to me, is tied for 18th as of last year in obesity rates. And so, it's a big thing. But I agree with Mr. Herrick. This is a matter of choice. Tied for 15th, I guess, is what I wrote here. So, not to mention the resources that would be necessary to enforce something like this. I've been here a little while, about 8.5 years almost. I've had maybe 2 other issues in that entire time that has received as much attention in terms of contacts, phone calls to me, and emails to me. I didn't, and while I consider, Duluth part of our community too, our constituents are in Superior. Everybody who supported this that contacted me was from outside of Superior, and nobody from in Superior that contacted me was in support of this. And there were a lot of contacts. So, the intent here is a good thing, but there's a lot more to it than that. I'm never so appalled as when I'm in the grocery store and see someone that I know is feeding their family, and what takes up the most space on the belt is potato chips and other junk foods that they're sending their kids to school with. But, you know, the toy in the meal at McDonald's isn't going to have an impact on that. And these kids would have to be eating at McDonald's an awful lot for that to be the biggest part of the problem. I just don't think that's happening. And we don't have the resources to, you know, to keep track of how much food, how much fat is in food. So that's, I could probably go on a lot longer too, but.
Seeing no more discussion, we'll call for the vote. All in favor to receive and file? Oh, did they roll call vote? Okay. Okay, so we'll take a roll call vote. Now, this is to receive and file. In other words, the issue drops dead, so you know.
Counselor Olson is abstaining. Counselor Bridge? Aye. Counselor Bender? Counselor Mertick? No. Counselor McDonald? Aye. Counselor Hendry is excused. Counselor Finsland? Aye. Counselor Herrick? Aye. Counselor McKenzie?
I want to thank Greg for bringing.
This is a roll call vote, Mr.
Okay.
McKenzie.
Okay.
We have to follow protocol.
Okay, sure.
So,
Aye.
Cast your vote.
Aye.
Okay.
Counselor Dahlbeck? Aye. 7 yes, 1 no, and 1 abstention.
Let's move to 10.1.
Item 10.1 is a resolution to enter into an agreement of common understandings between the City of Superior, Animal Allies Humane Society, Animal Rescue Federation, and the Humane Society of Douglas County for the construction and organization of an animal shelter.
Motion by Mr. McKenzie, second by Councilor Dahlbeck. We have one person signed up to speak to this issue, Mr. Marty Curtis.
He didn't call me by name.
No, you
Mr. Curtis, I did. I said Mr. Marty Curtis is to speak at this time.
I was just ignoring it.
Okay.
Marty Curtis, 5301 East First Street. And I guess my thing on this is that we're taking 3 different organizations who, from what I've heard listening to stuff going on, maybe weren't best friends with each other. And we're asking them all to join together and become more of an organization. And then we're going to build a new shelter. And, you know, maybe in these economic times we don't need a new shelter, but I'm not really here to talk about that. But my question is, why are we not asking these 3 entities who are going to become one to get together and do some fundraising? Have them raise $100,000 or $200,000. That's only $200,000 is only 10% of the total goal. See if they can work together before we spend $2 million.
Are you volunteering to do their fundraising? I'm serious. Are you? It's easy to do, you said.
You know, I'd like to be active in different things.
I'll write you down right now. You said you can raise $200,000 easy.
I would like to see
Let's
these
go
3
for it.
organizations get together. And sure, they can give me a call. You guys know my address and stuff. But I'd be willing to help them out with what I can. But I'd like to see these 3 organizations put some effort into this, show us they can work together before we invest $2 million in it. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Curtis. And we'll forward your name because you're good for the first 200. You said it was easy. So, Mr. McKenzie.
First of all, I think there should be some decorum, Mayor. No discussion back and forth with Mr. Curtis.
Sure. There you go.
And I'm really sorry to disagree with you, Marty.
Sure.
I'm not supposed to talk to you, but I disagree with what you're saying because I think what's going on here is a good thing for the city. There will be fundraisers. There's going to be capital campaigns. This has been thought out. We had a task force that worked all summer on this, and we really feel that we've come to a solution here. We've got 3 groups that are going to be coming together, and with one common goal. And that's to have a shelter here in Superior, and I think this is something that we've needed for a long time. It's nice to be able to have an organization like Animal Allies that's willing to take this lead role. And so again, this was something that was discussed quite extensively throughout this summer, and I think you'll come around and see what see that this is going to be a great thing. On one more note, I'd just like to say that, seeing as how we're all in a festive mood and all in the Christmas mood, I've got an envelope here that I'm going to be putting a check into. The Animal Rescue Federation has an annual drive, and I'd like to ask everybody to maybe do the same thing. Go to your local animal shelter, Duluth, whether it's Animal Allies or Humane Society in Douglas County, or here in Superior, to give a donation. I know these are really tough times, but it's every day that an animal is in those shelters in a cage, unwanted. It's tough times for them. So again, I think this is going to work really well. I want to thank Gene. I want to thank Frog. I want to thank everybody that's really worked on this document. I wish I could take credit for this document. I know we all worked together on this during those meetings, but this document is put together so that if anybody has any questions, whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, just read this, and this spells the whole thing out, and it's going to be a quality group in a quality building. Whether it's $2 million or not, Marty, I don't know, but we'll see. But this is something that we have to do as a community. So thank you very much.
And your comments are well taken, and you can take credit because you helped spearhead this. Mr. Finsley.
Thanks, Mayor.
I'd like to express my gratitude to Councilor McKenzie and the committee that worked so hard on all this, and to point out to Mr. Curtis and others that if the city had to take on this responsibility without these people, it would be at considerably more expense to the city than with these people doing the work for us. We should be very grateful to them for everything they've accomplished and what they're going to accomplish. It's certainly not a great expense. It's going to save us very much money in the long run.
Yeah. Thank you, Councilor. Mr. Bender.
Everybody stole what I was going to say.
Oh, no.
Except I just wanted to thank, I want to thank Councilor McKenzie and all the members of the task force,
right,
and for all of the hard work that they put in getting to this point. And also, now it doesn't sound like $2 million, it sounds like $2.2 million. Thanks again.
Touche. No more lights. All in favor say aye. Opposed say no. 10.1 passes.
11.1 is an ordinance amending the traffic code, disabled parking zones by adding 1102 Hammond Avenue.
Motion by Councilor Dahlbeck, second by Councilor McDonald. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. 11.1 passes.
11.2 is an ordinance amending the traffic code, disabled parking zones by adding 1320 Harrison Street.
Motion by Councilor Finzen, second by Councilor Dahlbeck. I think we'll take that one. And any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. 11.2 passes.
11.3 is an ordinance amending the traffic code, no parking on the odd-numbered side of the street by deleting North 21st Street east of Garfield for a distance of one half block, and North 21st Street from New York to Billings Drive Extension, and adding North 21st Street from the base of the viaduct to the Billings Drive Extension.
Motion by Councilor McKenzie, second by Councilor Dahlbeck. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Oh, Mr. Herrick, I'm sorry.
Yeah, just a concern I had, since we're going to no parking on 21st Street, basically from the end of the viaduct all the way down to, where the park is. What about, I just have a question, concern probably for the people in that area, like during the holidays, where, people have like maybe 6, 7, or 8 guests, and of course that means 7 or 8 cars. Is there going to be some leniency as far as giving tickets if they do park there? I guess I know it says no parking, but again, we got consideration. We took a street that was, one time available for parking, and now we're down to basically a no parking street.
I'll have the chief make a comment on that, but I will say that because I deal with this issue a lot on the phone. We don't allow it on 21st Street down near Mr. Finzen's neighborhood, occasional parking on that street. It has never been allowed, but Chief can address the
Okay, I guess my main concern, it was at one time you could park there and, being new, I don't know if you know what I'm saying or not. Yeah, I realize 21st Street, viaduct going that way, yeah, there's not even wide enough, sure.
Chief?
Gets a little difficult to try to make exceptions. On rare occasions, somebody may call if there's a special event, and we will take that into consideration, or if there's a been a funeral somewhere or some other special activity, we'll try to take that into account, but we need to be careful to be fair and impartial throughout the city.
Thank you, Chief.
Oh, yeah, thank you. That's a good message then for those that are listening too, so they know. So, thank you.
Yeah. Mr. McKenzie.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mike, all those questions, those are valid and they're good. It sure would be nice to have parking there. Unfortunately, when they narrowed 21st Street, it's almost impossible. After the first meeting that we had at Cooper School, Mayor, I don't know if you remember, we addressed that issue that night and went out to some people's homes, and I think we solved some problems, I think, with driveways.
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of those people were okay with that. I don't think that there was a lot of parking on 21st Street even beforehand, and of course now really we're not going to be able to do that because, I mean, that's a bus route, and I don't know who would want to risk parking there in a no parking area because they're bound to get hit. But anyways, yeah, that was an issue, and you know, maybe on occasion maybe we could have some leniency, maybe Christmas or something, maybe, huh, Pete? Merry Christmas.
Okay. Seeing no more discussion, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. 11.3 passes.
11.4 is an ordinance amending the traffic code, no parking on the even-numbered side of the streets by deleting North 21st Street east of Garfield for a distance of 1/2 block and North 21st Street from New York to Billings Drive Extension, and adding North 21st Street from the base of the viaduct to the Billings Drive Extension.
Motion by Mr. Kinsey, second by Councilor Dahlbeck. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. 11.4 passes.
12.1, the Superior Amateur Hockey Association is requesting continued support for the Great Lakes Classic Pond Hockey Championship as outlined in the communication.
I think you're all going to want to make a motion on that. Okay, motion to approve. Councilor McKenzie and Mr. Bender will take. Mr. Olson.
This is the second year you've got off without having to talk. You realize that?
All in favor say aye. Opposed say no, and Mike doesn't get to talk. We are adjourned. Thank you.